I'm not in. Years ago.
Yeah, that's so good. There was not no news of arguments around here. So I don't know if we've done anything about that. You know, in my head. Lots bigger than it all. They work with. So we have just it's bad. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know what it's just.
Sure.
Our customers, yeah. Now she's gonna have it. Oh, yeah. Wow. My girl, she was putting this.
Okay, call to order the Fountain County Council meeting, May 8th, 2023. Everyone had a chance to look over your minutes from the April 10th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve? Second. All those in favor? You department heads and Carol and Henry, because sometimes we go longer and department heads, I know it's got a lot to do, so let's first go with Carol.
Very good, thank you. Sorry about the profile, we didn't get on the agenda, but we failed to
make that clear that we were coming, but, I'm here to talk about Kaysville Covered Bridge along with Henry. And, just to recap how we got to this point, the Fountain County Art Council was established in 1992 to address what was deemed by the state of Indiana as being a culturally deprived community or county, unfortunately. So we worked very hard since that time to bring events to Fountain County. In 2019, we formed the Historic Committee as a part of the Fountain County Art Council because the County Historic Society had gone defunct. They, as people got older, they dropped their dues and they dropped their 501c3 standing. So we took over the responsibilities of the Historic Society. The biggest project we started has been Kaysville Covered Bridge. But in addition to that, we've done a lot of other things within the county, including giving tours of the courthouse. And when you leave today, cases, if it's not raining, we'll probably see about 75 fourth graders coming through the courthouse to learn about the court and its proceedings as well as the history of the county. We maintain the displays downstairs in the lower level, which is there's a showcase designated for each of the townships that shows some of the historic artifacts and the history of those things. We also try to promote history by sponsoring a historic contest, essay contest to the fourth graders every year for all of the schools, including the Christian school in Covington, Attica, Southeast Fountain. We just finished that up, and those children have their essays read, and we do give a little monetary award and a plaque as well for them. So we try to promote history. We try to promote Fountain County in every way we possibly can. We have worked on the covered bridge problem since 2019. When it was brought to our attention that Kaysville, which is the oldest covered bridge in the state of Indiana, and at one time there were 600 covered bridges, and we now have 90. Of the 90, there are 3 in Fountain County, and we have the oldest, and that's Kaysville Covered Bridge. That bridge was very essential to the development of Western Indiana and Fountain County because of the need to bring supplies back and forth from the farmers and the settlers into the county, transportation down to the Wabash Erie Canal and into the river, and for trading and bringing goods in. For that reason, it was placed on the National Register of Historic Places, and it was also highlighted just recently in the Indiana Landmarks as one of the 10 most endangered structures in the state of Indiana. Landmarks does that to try to bring attention to emphasize the importance of trying to save these bridges. And Kaysville, being the oldest one, deserves a lot of attention. As we're approaching, and it's hard for me to believe, but in just a couple of years, we're going to be celebrating their 200th birthday in Fountain County, 2026. So it would be very, I think, worthwhile for us to be celebrating the dedication of this bridge and have this bridge completed by then. So we put together numbers, and Henry's going to go over those numbers with you, where we stand and our current status with the Fountain County Commissioners, who have requested that we come to you today to get something in writing with a commitment. Henry?
Well, also, covered bridges, I've gone to many different Fountain County festivals, the Apple Fest, the Heritage Days of Attica, Old Settlers in Petersburg, I think Freedom Days, they call it, in Galen. So we've been trying to go all through the county to promote the idea of restoring the bridge and also to advertise to people. There are 3 bridges in Fountain County. We've already spent around 107. Do you need copies of this, or do you have them from a month ago?
Maybe I think we need, I got a copy the other day from you, I think we all, probably need to copy. And also, Carol and Henry, I think that we had a meeting in August 8th of 2022. We got a lot of information on these sheets and what's been done, over a period of time. We had an elevator council and had this I know, Jen, do you have that? You don't have it? There you go, take a look at that, see if you got those sheets, because it has a lot of information on it.
Like I said, since 19, we spent almost 29,000 to do the initial stabilization, so it wouldn't fall in the creek. And then this past February, it was leaning to the east, so we were afraid it could go over or whatever. So we spent 38,000 to stabilize it. And since any county money has to be bid, we spent engineering 49,000 to get repair specs prepared, plus spent with that 49, almost 12,000 to get the environmental and Army Corps of Engineering permits to repair the bridge. A preliminary cost estimate, a 25% contingency built in is 331,000. Painting is 30,000 in addition. Then if we use VS to secure the bidding and inspect the bidding and then inspect the repairs, another 10 for 371. We'd like in writing in February the 10th, 2020, the county council passed a tax levy of 0.005 for the covered bridges. Back then, start in 21 and continue each year. That'd be through this year, approximately 130,000. That I'd like approval in the minutes that this can go to covered bridges, because the commissioners think the money could be used for concrete bridges. We're looking at that as money to repair the bridge, and then we'd settle for another 50,000, maybe from ARP funds, to get to 180 from the county, or 160 some would pay for the repairs, wooden repairs to the bridge, and then if we didn't use all the contingency money or the private donations come in better, we could pay for the painting later on. But what we really need in writing is the council would approve up to 180,000, 140 from the tax levy or 130, and then another 50 from some other account. It should be known that grants have given us about 70 or 80,000, 200,000 of the money we've raised comes from private individuals. We've had probably over 400 different people donate money, $20, 100, 500 towards the project. So the community and former residents that send money in definitely support the project. So we're here to try to get in the minutes support of at least 180,000, so the commissioners know that they should then request the money and you would approve it. Questions?
I'll just add what he said about February 2020. The council voted to increase the Q Bridge Fund 0.005 to put into a fund to help restore our covered bridges. The vote was 5-0. Dale Clausen and Jim Lee Hirschberger were not at that meeting. And so far that fund has collected the last 2 years of tax collections a little over 89,000. And it should collect probably another 45 to 50,000 at May and November's collection, so that we could possibly have 140,000 in there by the November. And we did budget last year covered bridge repairs, the $85,000 in the highway budget. Is that correct, Jason? 84 is what happened. 84, okay, we budgeted 84 because we weren't sure what the tax dollars we're gonna collect, but it collected 43 something last year or year before, and a little over 45,000 next year, so. That's why it was over 89,000 in that, and why I told the commissioners would just like us to put that in writing, that we did increase the Q bridge to put into the covered bridge, and that the council is in favor of using those funds for the covered bridge. Am I correct? Is that one?
And, the engineering specs in that will be available in August. If we know there's sufficient funds, we would bid it probably in August. Permits might not be ready till September, the work may not be done until the winter creek is down and that. So we probably could figure on all 3 years by the time the bills are paid. And we'll continue to work hard to get more private donations. We haven't stopped that effort. But not only the 3 years of the tax levy, but it'd be nice if we could have some support for another 50,000 to get to 180.
I'd like to add that there's been some national attention to this bridge as well, and we've cooperated with the National Covered Bridge Association. They're primarily based out of New Hampshire, but a group of 50 of those folks came and visited Catesville Covered Bridge last year ago in September. And they featured the bridge also on their calendar, and they have pledged $10,000. Once we start the bidding process, they will give us $10,000.
Also, it's kind of a 2-year process of getting all 3 bridges on the national registry. So now Rob Roy, Wallace, and Cage are all on the National Historic Registry.
After the construction is done, this is totally a pedestrian bridge, never vehicular like Rob Roy, but it will be safe for anybody to walk on as well, and that'll be guaranteed.
Okay, so I think first what we need to do is take a vote on that we did approve the bridge fund to be increased 0.005. There is so far $89,000 collected plus what we get in May and November, and that we are in favor or not in favor of recommending to the commissioners that money be used for.
I have a question for Dale for the community foundation. Are they involved in that?
Yes, we actually have made $50,000 gift with the project, and we're managing all the private donations that come in. That's what. So we see them is all across the country. I've been surprised at what we've got. Yes. Yeah, and the national groups that come in. Yeah.
And the reason we set it up with the foundation, so all the donors know I can't use the money for some other project. It has to be used for the covered bridge.
To be specifically for that.
And the 0.005 is a designated fund specifically for the bridges.
Well, it goes into the bridge, because the state board of accounts said we could not set up a separate. That's what I'd asked first, if we could have it separate funds, but so we have to keep track of how much is collected now. And how we've been able to, for the those 2 years, tell exactly the dollar amount was because the voting machine fund was 0.05, so what that collected. Now, to get away with that, because the previous clerk said they got all new machines, they did away with that, so we won't be having that this year, so it'll take some figuring to figure out what to collect, but the new clerk and the commissioners have talked about it, and someday these machines are gonna have to be replaced, even though we got new ones, so they want to put that back on, so starting next year, we'll do that. We'll be able to tell exactly what it is without having to do figuring that. But that fund, until the council votes to stop it, it will always it's always in the books, 0.005 is going to Q Bridge for the.
If you want a motion and recommend the commission, is that how you want to handle this?
I think that's what they would like.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay,
For a second.
second. All those in favor? And 7-0. In our minutes,
Okay,
okay,
is there any movement on the additional 50 that I suggested?
This school is, we just for a second, so we just have some clarity. So we know right now you've got $89,000, right, for the Tree Bridge,
right,
at 0.005. And they have, what, we had 116,000. I got a number here of 116,000 tax. Is that
Well,
161? 161. And they were looking at, we talked about some park money. Is that what you were talking about the other day? And I think that was talking about some park money. And the council, I don't know if you heard that or not, but could we foresee that art money getting them some little extra pads so that you can have some realistic numbers to work with down the road, 6 months to a year for the restoration of the rest of the bridge? Basically, that's what you're thinking. Okay. So Dudley, are we okay with that? I mean, I'm just looking at the number before we say
The
that.
only thing about the art money is you're gonna have a lot of money to spend on that annex.
You're exactly right. And I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so currently in the fund is 89,000. Where's the 84,000 come from on the highway? Is that designated?
well,
for-
that's
That is included.
budgeted from
Oh,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
and then we are going to get money for that fund in May,
in November, so
November.
say, put on the low side, 45,000,
Mhm.
would bring us 134,000 by November that we'll have in that fund. And with the 161 would be 295, so they're about 36,000 short to go just the repair costs.
How much do we need? How much do you need by September again? How much?
well, we need 331,000. That includes the 25% contingency. Yeah. That's why I asked him, besides levy. 50,000, 36,000 extra, and then we can go. This.
We got a lot of stuff at the end of this meeting day after we got a lot of numbers looking at us today. That's the reason why you see a lot of hesitating here, because there's a lot of numbers coming at us today. I don't know about the other council, I want to know how we're going to land. I want to know how we're going to be. That's what I'm after. But I was second that motion, that at least working with that tax. We get done, maybe we'll see where we are on that.
Well, but we do want them to go forward with the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
I think everybody agrees with that.
What do you use the? See, I had it, what was in my head. Going to, it's a ordinance to reestablish the community capital development fund now for funding, so help me understand it, but there's $674,000 in there. Is that something we can use for that project?
Yes, we can use
The way
that.
I read the ordinance. with what the need.
Okay, and. You look like it, I've gone over this sheet with you that I did some figures to give you. So human capital development, it started the year with 766,000. Our average income is 259, and our budget this year is 409 if we spend it all, so that's 150 off that, so we'll have 600,000 at least in human capital development. So could we tell them to go ahead with their project, get the bidding done, and if, when it comes to, when the bills come in, if we're short 35,000-40,000, that we could come to us and look at an additional and take it out of human capital development? Is that what you want to do?
That's just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Like I said, you folks will have to help them on that, but I just studied it a little bit, you know.
I'm okay with that, if everyone's agreeable with that, so that they can get started with their project and bidding. Just tell them that, we'll do that, we'll find the funds.
Well, but I interrupted Tom.
No, you're just fine, because I too, just like you guys, I'm looking down the road here at what we have to use our money for.
Right.
And I'm a little bit hesitant, and I'm looking at Coon Cap. And I'm with you all, and the idea is what I meant just a minute ago. When you get to September and October, I like to make sure that you're gonna have the money. Well, I think we got a little better idea today after our meeting's over, where we're gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna be soon,
I got a list right here.
Yeah.
Additional.
and I'll remember where every one of those, yeah.
I pulled it up. Wow.
I'm with you.
Okay.
The fact we just don't know. Yeah,
But that's just an avenue.
yeah.
Right.
Collins checked about the ARPA money. The only thing that might be a problem is that you have to go by the federal bidding process to use ARPA money. And I'm not sure what you're doing is the federal process, so I can. Where Jeff talks, I think we'd be better off using the capital for research. Okay.
Because the federal money and federal bidding run the cost a lot.
Yes,
higher. That's
exactly.
why we stayed away from federal grants.
I guess I would support that as proposition, how we address this with safety and starting.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody agreeable with that? Okay.
I need a clarification. The commissioners were adamant that we come back to the meeting next week, saying that the council was supporting, and they wanted it in writing, which it would be for the levy money, but they also want to know exactly where that money was coming from, the additional money would come from. So do we need a motion for that, or is that just understood that it'll come from the, I don't know what you said, the cumulative?
Capital. Well.
I think the
Actually,
question-
the Cume Capital Development or County General is really the only funds I see that we could use, so. I mean, if you want to do a motion and that will bring up the balance of the 331 after our tax collection and after the funds you've raised, that we take it out of Cume Capital Development, we can do a motion so the commissioners will know. Okay. Cume Capital, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Kelly, all those in favor? Okay,
Thank you very much. I feel better.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being so patient with us.
Yeah, thanks for all you're doing to raise the funds.
Appreciate it.
Save part of it.
Remember, we're having a birthday party.
What was that day? I'll see you there, girl.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Henry. Okay, let's get our department heads so that they have pressing business, they can go to that, Guard.
One thing I had on there, saw on there was a question on the additional appropriations, that discussion, Colleen. I brought up at the county commissioners meeting last time, the additional, for the paver, the pavement, or the driveway, excuse me, you guys. When Jeff came the last time, you guys said I need to go back and ask for an additional for that, which I did. And then I included in that, the outdoor lights, full lights are out. That was gonna be an additional $4,100, looking up to $17,400 or something like that. Yeah, so I don't know. Can I move forward with that, or where do we? Because I don't see it on the agenda for approval for the additional.
No, it hasn't been advertised. She's got this on here for all.
Is that what that is for the other?
That's
Okay,
what we want to advertise.
okay, that's fine.
And so.
Okay, that's fine. That was the question I had on that. And then I know I talked to Kelly on Monday a little bit. Titmont is offering, I believe, reimbursement back a little bit on putting in LED lights like they did about 5 years ago. If you remember, we done that, with some lights in the Bay Area, and then there was a couple we replaced on the outside, and all the wall packs around, we call them wall packs on the outside, and we got reimbursed back. And I believe they're doing that project again, so I believe we pay up front, which would be that $4,100, and then we would submit a invoice or a bill to them, and then we would get some of that money back. So I would like to pursue that also with that, so that would be obviously pay the $4,100 up front and then get reimbursed back. I can't remember. I was thinking we got like $50 to $100 a light on the building. I don't remember. We got a good chunk of money back on those, what's on the building itself. And then some of those that we replaced inside the bay. So,
So that's something you've got to give them approval on before we can advertise.
well, I think we have to pay for it up front, and then basically you apply for that, and then you'll get reimbursed that, and that money would come back to the county. So, but that was all, I mean, that was my big question was on that, where we stood on that, so I'd like you guys to want to talk about that later. No report really on the trucks, he was going to do a little check on this last week, didn't hear anything yet. The Chevy chassis has been ordered, that is for the remount. The 2 brand new ones, he did talk to the dealer, there's no word on it at this point.
Okay, so while we're talking about additional. Is that going to come in this year, or will that come out of next year's budget?
The one I think that we might see would be the remount, but at this point, I don't think we'll see either. I don't think we'll see any of the 3 until next year, to be honest. Because even if the chassis would come in, I don't see Chevy chassis coming in until like August, September. And then you're 3 months after that, well, then we're at the end of the year. So I'm gonna believe those will probably, we won't see those until 2020.
We'll get there for 3 then next year, right?
And they'll work, and then we'll work with us on that, if we have to. It could be one of those, and I think it was thrown out there, you made a comment, maybe pay half, one, on 24 and the other half on 25. I don't know. They would work with us on that. They said they're not going to.
Can you give me a ballpark figure on that, so we need to be talking about that today too,
On what's that?
what it's gonna cost us.
On all of it?
Yeah.
900,000. I mean, that's just rounded off. I think it's like 865 if you really want to get technical.
No, I
think both the new one, 318. And then the remount was 265, I think.
okay.
Did you put that in the budget?
No,
So it's not in there.
no, it wasn't, because we, at first thought it wasn't gonna be. It was gonna be delayed, and then we got some word that maybe we would get it, but that is not in the budget.
And I've never, since it's been here, put it in a budget. It's always been one of those that we've always scheduled every other year.
Yes,
You know,
we took it out of
yeah,
one of our other funds, which we will talk about today, so. Okay.
that's really all I got. Unless you guys have anything else?
Do I have any questions for Carol?
You had a first problem. Anything been done there?
I'm working with Andrew on that, so Andrew, Paul and I are working on, there was a engineer architect here. At the county commissioners meeting, I think in April, May, I can't remember when it was. And the suggestion was, so we looked at different things. One of the things we looked at was put a net, like a netting in the ceiling, which would keep the birds out. We have a real bad problem with barn swallows. We cannot, by DNR, extinguish them. It's a endangered species, so we cannot touch them. So, we looked at putting the netting up. The other challenge we run into is, by putting the netting up, that will be okay, but then with it being how warm it gets in the bay, you know, one of the challenges we run into is the medications that we're carrying on our ambulances have to be at a certain temperature. So then we came back and looked at putting the ceiling in and putting in AC, and also a backup heating system. Some of you remember 2 or 3 years ago, we lost our floor heating system, which knock on wood has been working good since, but we were looking at that backup. And we had some pricing put together for that, and then we never really followed through with it. Back to where we're at now, still having trouble with the birds, we still need to look at, temperature control in that bay. The individual was here suggested putting like 3 large fans in there. They have utilized them in other buildings similar to ours, and it's kept the birds out because of the movement. And then we would also look at putting in an AC unit in there, or units to, get that temperature, control better. But Andrew and I were working on trying to get some pricing put together for that. And we don't have anything put together at this point.
Okay.
So.
How about that noise?
It don't work. We got a noisemaker in there right now, and it don't keep them out. The first year I had a falcon sitting on the outside of the building and kept them out. Not now. So we tried everything. We tried a little compact disc, you hang on outside the building. We did aluminum foil. The other suggestion was getting up in the top, was putting up spikes in there so they can't land. I mean, that's another option. There was multiple different things we tried. We even the falcon didn't work, so the owl's not gonna work either. We even got one hanging from the ceiling right now, one outside the building. And there, if you go in, it's bad. The east wall is just covered in bird poop, which we're gonna have to get addressed. I mean, it's just, we gotta get this fixed, especially dealing with medical stuff. So we're working on trying to get that pricing put together and bring it to you. I can't tell you numbers. What it is, I honestly don't know what it's gonna cost.
And that's. Okay,
All right, thanks.
It's our effective.
Jason.
Don't really have a lot for you guys. Our paving has gotten pushed back until the 1st of June, just for the weather, and we had to get some holes in the ground for them settled. So we're gonna start that hopefully 1st of June. Over on Grand Creek Road, or we start that. I think Travis had brought up to the commissioners last Monday, I was up here, about the auction monies and like double payment of that power room. We'd like to have received back into the highway budget if possible. We have some small structures that we'd like to get rehabilitation done on.
It's gonna be seeded into that fund, but it's not into appropriation. So we need an additional that, which was 138,000.
Some, yes, yeah.
Which is not on our list
No,
here.
it is not.
What's the capital outlay, 250,000 for MVH?
That is the match on the community crossing.
Okay, okay,
Underneath this notation.
but can the match come out of the highway? I thought the match was had to come out of either rainy day or county general. I didn't think we did even have a job.
I think that's just how it's been done since 2016 when we started doing it was.
I didn't put a fund.
Okay. No, I mean, we've always, because we want to do a match whenever we can, but I always was under the impression we never took it out of MPH, we always,
No, because it's not been able to fund it.
right, okay. So we always have taken it out of rainy day or county general, but I'm looking, I made a chart of your funds are in pretty good shape. Considering, I mean, what we started with the year and your budgets are less than what our average income over the last 5 years has been, so I don't, if we can take that out of, MVH, then that would be perfect. The only other thing I question is 30,000 for consulting engineering on the jail grinder. Got that under your budget.
Who's budget?
It's a.
No, those. The question is, I don't have a fund.
Okay, that, well, to me, that should come out of lit. Since it's going for the jail.
Okay,
Okay.
that's,
I mean, we might
that's what
as well
I'm-
use the lit.
that was my
Okay.
whole idea of
Okay,
presenting this, so I can know which fund numbers they were.
okay, so we'll talk about that before we. But let's take care of what Jason's got there.
135 or 138 was still what? What do we want?
For structure, small structure rehabilitation,
What was it?
small structure rehabilitation.
And how much did you bring in from the sale?
It was 68, 67.
Okay.
And then there was a double payment last November, December, I believe, or year before, $68,000 for our room that Rusty purchased, and it got paid for twice. So we had credit over to Southeastern Equipment, they sent us a check back, so.
Okay, anything else?
The only other thing, just to give you guys kind of an update, what's going on over there. Our shop foreman, Gary Edwards, had to step down. He was in remission with cancer. His cancer came back pretty strong. So we had to, we did interviews and, we have a new shop foreman starting today. It's it's in-house, one of the mechanics that applied for it. With that being said, I just throw this out here. I'd like to see if we can probably talk about a new building. We just have some major concerns over there, so just like to keep bringing it up, not to be a dead horse, but just to see where we could be at. Possibly what funds we could use and how we can help.
So then you get a approximate estimate of what Jefferson and some other counties who have put in.
I've got a couple of counties, I met last week at the asset management conference. I went to White County's one of them. I'd like to go and look at their building. They have a new facility up there, so. And a couple others around like to go take a look at, just give them an idea. That's why is what we have in there.
I think of putting that on 41 there where the,
I believe where our stockpile is, yeah, I believe that's really. Also, USI consultants are preparing bid documents for bridge number 54, which is just east of Hillsborough and to the south of 136. Saturday, yeah. Bridge number 54. So we'll have bid documents to go over probably the 1st of June, we can start putting that out there, so you get something done on that. Then I'll get calling all the federal bridge information. Inspection information, so.
did you get the email from NDOT about work they're gonna do at 36 and 41?
I don't think I did.
I don't know why I'm getting their emails, but I get them. You were CC'd in it, but if you, oh, I thought you had gotten it. So I can send it to you and just, so you have it.
Oh, yes, they're replacing, all the.
Yeah.
Slip line project,
Yeah.
Kelly, is that where we were gonna redo the intersection right here? That's what I hear from the one meeting I attended.
I believe it's be just north of 136, they're gonna do a slip line project. So, you were saying, they should have 41 closed for very much of anything. Just be slipping a new section of that culvert that's going on 41.
That's right where they're turning to come into Beavisville. Like here's where you talk about and what I heard is we're gonna redo that. They're coming down 136 all the way through town, coming right into Covington. I don't know whether that's hearsay or.
I've heard rumors of that as well, but I don't have any kind of date for when they're doing anything like that.
And I saw a lot of surveying through the town of Beavisville one day, and some crews in there, so I don't know.
Well, we went ahead and prepared Dixie D. Got a couple pipes replaced on it just to be prepared for any other traffic down through there. When they, if and when they do that,
136.
definitely.
I received the NDOT information on State Route 55, but there was no time.
No time frame yet.
Okay.
That, and then they have some work going on, 32 over by Sugar Mill Road as well. So we're preparing the runarounds for that.
This is a 20th operation. What would you estimate the cost per mile of blacktop?
It's right at $104,000 for a mile at 20 foot wide.
Say 20
20 foot wide, around 104.
Okay.
Our asphalt is at $90.50 a ton right now.
Yeah, I just missed it, Jason. What did you say about the power room? There were got an check back because you sold the power room?
No, when Rusty was in, we bought a new street sweeper pretty well, and it got paid for twice somehow. And we had a credit sitting over at Southeastern Equipment that we found out about, so they sent us a check for the second payment.
So you got that check, plus you got the sale for $137.
Correct, yes.
Is that right? Pretty good sale.
Well, we got 68 from the sale.
Okay.
Two together.
I just need to indicate though, Colin said it wasn't necessary. So we couldn't get it. I just said.
If we get like a fuel or insurance reimbursement, we can go ahead and put it right into the appropriation. This was not that, it was from an auction and overpayment. The overpayment probably could go back in the appropriation, but it's across years, so that raises your budget, throws up flags for state board of accounts. So we have to go through the additional process because you're raising your budget. I can adjust the income on the additional and give them 135, whatever it is that we got, which will probably make that go through.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
It'll help. So, no, you're fine.
Any other questions for Jason? Okay, thanks, Jason. Tina, do you have anything emergency management? Is anybody else back there? Oh, sure.
He's hiding.
So like I'm coming down, we're a little short in our department, so I will be asking for additional appropriations. If that's amazing, I need to.
That, it's on the thing.
Okay, okay.
We're gonna talk about that later.
So, we are asking for our board members, to give an, we want to give an increase to them, $1,000 a year. Just because it's hard to get, board members and, anyone in the community, to sit on our board. And then we are required to have 4 meetings a year, but oftentimes we have executive meetings with some of our additional things that go on. It was just someone else who did suggested it, and the board did approve it. So I'm coming to you with that. Group health, it was budgeted for 2 employees. We have actually 3 employees who's taking group health. So we'll need additional 21,291 on that one. So our county attorney, we're only budgeted for $1,000 a year. We're asking for $19,000 in additional to help cover some of our fees. We use our attorney a lot for environmental concerns, cleanup, homes, properties. So we're just asking for that additional funds for that.
So you said you paid that.
1,000. It was 2,000 and it's decreased this year to 1,000.
Was that a carryover from this?
Well, yeah, it was 2,000 in Warren County paid part. Yeah, so that's why we got it for 1,000.
Housekeeping, maintenance and repairs, we come across some additional expenses, $1,500 for an antivirus software. We are applying for Medicaid billing, which we will group some of those fees. Whenever we have individuals coming in with Medicaid, get $15 back per individual, but we do have to apply for the process. So it is $700 for that Medicaid billing fee. And then the 450 separation of computer files with the carryover from the Pike County, some of those separation of files. So that was a bill that we have. We also have cell phones. We have 5 employees and it's $20 a month. So we're actually short, we need $1,200 more, so we're short $400. And we're budgeted at $800. Equipment insurance. We're budgeted at $800, and this is for our trailer, our equipment inside the trailer, and any of our equipment inside our building. So our premium is approximately $1,200, and we'll be short $400. And that's due next month. We have transportation. With the split, we had some bills that weren't paid as far as the transportation, so we were a little short on that. But we can also use this transportation. So this is the question. I'm not sure what you guys want to do. If you want to take it out of 1159 out of the local maintenance or out of one of the grant funds. That's something I want to discuss with you. That is an option. And that goes for the transportation and the training and education.
What was that last one you said? What number was that?
1168, local health maintenance. That's a state grant. So we were on the local health maintenance, we were budgeted 500, and we're asking for 1,500 on that, just because we have some conferences coming up, and fees have increased. So we're asking for those additional funds. And the same with the training and education. We adopted budget was 500, and we're asking for $1,000 increase. Then we have the theft grant at a 9775. So with the split of the health department, we're only getting half of that for which is actually, I think, will be half. So we should have gotten 12,500, we're only getting 6,250. We will get a new allotment in July 1st, which will be 25,000. But we are short of 6,250, and that does pay for, one of the environmentalist pay salaries. So I'm not sure how you want to take that out of 1159 local maintenance, or take it out of,
That you said we're gonna get 25,000. Okay, so, have you depleted the environmental activities? No, there's a lot of things that will be that.
well, usually we budgeted though from July till June for his salary for that time frame.
Not now.
Yeah, 25,000. Yeah,
Hold off on-
yeah, so we're gonna get 25,000.
And you're sure it's 25,000?
that Eric double check that, yeah.
Thank you.
And that would come in June 30th?
July 1st. It's sometime around that time frame. With the state, we're never guaranteed a certain date. So,
It's emailed to me.
When that, when's this?
Well, we have funds and.
We have
funds and, because we pay that out, like 3 different funds, I believe that salary, right?
Then this fence grant you're talking about?
yeah, 9775. We pay his out of 1159, 1206, and 9775.
Yeah, so we get 25,000.
Right.
Well,
Well, it's-
So we're
The other
short,
fund,
1206, yes.
and
9775 and 1159.
right,
Okay. And then just to make you aware, we do have our COVID response schools. It's a grant that we have received. We are going to use some of that. That's, we have a school liaison, that's part of our program. We're going to use approximately $5,000 in our schools to help, implement new programs and, for our schools. So I don't think I need any approval on that. I think it's just something that we have, and I just want to be aware.
Have any questions?
Where's the dollar figure come from? For the attorney?
That is something that the board has suggested.
Where did they get their,
I'm sorry.
where did they get their information?
I can't answer that. And it is something that, we don't use, but it's there in case we do. We have several properties. We have several properties that we've been, trying to work on, but $1,000 doesn't go very far.
None of this is in that place. Any other questions?
what do you do for the school?
So it's part of the program that they receive this money in the school liaison. She works with the schools on, education, implementing any new programs that she's interested in. She's working on, PPR training and Save the Bleed. She's trying to implement those programs in the schools. Any concerns that schools may have, she can help address those. She's working on hygiene packs for each school within the county, or each corporation within the county, that doesn't have those supplies, and she's just trying to work on them. Yeah, and if there's ever anything that anyone finds that is an interest or is a need for a school, she's always looking for those, for other additional.
I was talking to you the other day, and we had one of the course. And what kind of really got me thinking a little bit is on this health hazards and cleanup and so on.
Yes,
And you say you got an attorney, you take all this information to the point, you can't get anything done. I mean, that seemed like the money is kind of wasted. You know what I mean? Why can't we get this done? Who's holding this up?
so, So we can send them all the information, seeing that they're in violation of the ordinance, but our letters don't always mean anything. They don't see it as a concern, so we have to have the attorney step in and prosecute. So that's where we need him to push it to the final.
Do we collect a fee on that?
We can, well, the 234, that's one of the properties that I worked on, and I was very fortunate with that one, that it was the bank that worked with me. The attorney, we didn't utilize him, we just very little on that property. So it's a possibility, the fines are anywhere from $50 to $500.
That's what
typically,
my
I said
concern is, if we create $19,000, how are we collecting
A return.
a return on that?
No, and that's where, they're not gonna pay unless it's forced upon them to pay it. Yeah, and if you have any questions on the attorney, because this is something that, we, like I said, we have a lot of properties that we're dealing with. And we do all the legwork for it, but then if they're not willing to, comply or to just voluntarily pay those fees, we're dead in the water. It's just a lot of wasted time for us if we can't get it to move further.
That is a attorney,
One attorney. So we currently work with Campman Ads. So it'd be his firm.
So what you're saying is that you don't feel that you have the money to pursue this all the way because the attorney doesn't have the time to pursue it. There's really no reason for you to do the work that you do. Is that right?
Yes, I mean, we'll still do it, it's part of our job description, it's a county ordinance, so we're being used as code enforcement. So we're happy to do the job, but it's kind of defeating whenever we do all the legwork and then we can't get it to go all the way. Can't get anything done, get these properties cleaned up.
Has the property in 234 been sold yet?
In May 19th.
Okay, May 19th is the auction. Now will that money go? Does that money go?
I'm across that bridge yet.
Well, it's got a sale. Yes, but I don't know if it goes in county general or if it goes in.
Right now, the funds have been paid out of them in general. On the auction part of it. So. Or what?
I guess.
Yeah.
Better. Reimburse the county and county general, reimburse health department and the big. Okay. Anything else for the health department? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, did Dana leave? Oh, okay. So we have Dana Stonebreaker with us. She's the interim 911 director.
How are you? Nice to meet you all.
You too?
I'm even on nine, so I did work the last 3 nights. Right, I'm vision loss.
Do you have anything for us?
I do not, I do know that we do have a full roster now, and we do have freedom.
Okay, that's unexpected.
Yes.
That.
Yes. So whether some of those stay, that's a different question, but you know how to. Hopefully they will, and hopefully we can have something. Yeah. I didn't know there was time
I
that.
didn't either until had a meeting here last Saturday. Oh, fine, so.
I apologize, I didn't get your name.
My name is Dana Stonebreaker.
So Randy, you got full staff, right?
Yes.
Anything?
Yes, additional, I talked to Dana last week, I took it upon myself to add overtime there, because they've expended all monies for overtime. And with all the changes and positions that are open, I felt like we needed probably that much more to make it through the end of the year.
Okay,
I may know closer to the end of the year if there's additional money in the appropriations that we can use, but right now I feel like I don't know that, because we don't know. Everything's kind of up in the air.
okay. Okay, so that overtime is for 911.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, so it's, as of right now, it's in.
It's not permanent.
And there's, obviously, interview for.
There's applications, we have applications on the door and downstairs, and people leave it online.
And the commissioner can interview. Well,
Well, and I think it's that new,
Back and forth.
you know, 2 commissioners from Fountain, 1 from Warren, and then
Sheriff.
the sheriffs, and they will.
How many hours did you put off of, how many hours you were, 2 shifts?
3 nights.
3 nights
One
you work?
weekend. Business day. I've been in here ever since, they asked me to do this, so I came in during the day, even on the nights that I still have to work, so I'm trying to finagle the schedule. So I've got to move some people to nights that I know that, you know, everybody's got to sacrifice right now for a little bit, so we can get the center running and running smoothly. So if I need to be on days, I'll still be on a station until we can get our 3 girls trained. But I will be here when the courthouse is open, so I can actually do some of my admin as well as do my 911 duties for Fountain and Warren County. I've been here since 2017, started part-time and then a full-time in 2018.
Where did you start?
2017, here, as a dispatcher, as part-time.
Probably would put that over town for thing that's doing extra now.
Actually, we moved her up into the director's salary position, since she's interim. A lot of that will be for the operators that are helping train these new people. Because instead of 2 people, we've got 3 people on the shift. So it'll help for that, and then we've got vacation time and we're looking for some overtime.
We're catching up, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
We're trying
Because
to catch
people,
up.
it's getting warmer, people are gonna be wanting to take vacation, so that's something we have to look at also.
Thank you, Dana.
But, yes, basically.
Your turn.
Holy moly.
Sheriff. Morning. So we have 70 in general, being paid for 38 of those. Inmates. And that's all I got. Now, I did invite Roger this morning, because I wanted him to talk about the grinder, where we're standing at on that, because I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So I will actually come over to Roger and let him talk about what it's done out, what it is and stuff like that.
Okay,
All right, so the sheriff needed to replan his sewer system because there was a lot of clothing and big items. Here for, and the town was not gonna continue to accept waste that had that large materials in it. So I think they put us on notice, officially on notice that you need to do something. We went and did the survey of the site, we shot elevations on the existing pipes and everything. And it turns out, you know, the sheriff has parcel next to the parking lot that has gravel on it. That's where we originally talked about putting, the new station. That basically it's a large concrete trough that has a screen that runs continuously and takes all the big items out of it. Runs it through a washer compactor and washes the pieces out of it. And then whatever hard items are still left there, it compacts them, and throws them into the bin. That any waste management company don't have this waste transfer or any human waste transfer that it's waste. We wanted that station put in that gravel parking lot that's out of the way, it's not on the field. When we looked at elevations, it was not possible to come back, to go gravity to the existing outlet at the jail, to go gravity to that station and come back to the manhole and gravity. So the other option was to put the station in his front yard. And he wants nothing to do with that, I don't blame him, I wouldn't want a waste station in my front yard either.
So now we have to keep the station where the sheriff wanted it, but we're gonna end up on the outflow of the station after everything is cleaned up. We're gonna have to have a small pumping station that lifts the waste up and puts it into the van. We just added another component to it. Unfortunately, it's just the way it was designed, the gravity. The way it's designed today, the gravity allows for minimum slope to go from the jail to the manhole, but once you add all the other components that we're trying to put in, we just can't get back with gravity. And the next manhole down is 300 feet, 350 feet, that will be a long run. It's almost worthwhile putting the station than trying to run a secondary line all the way down there. It's an option. We could do it, but it's probably easier for us to put a small lift station. With that being said, rough numbers, I got some of the manufacturers sending me some numbers, rough numbers with engineering, design, bidding, getting everything done. We're starting to get close to $500,000. I think my last estimate was 480,000 with the lift station. And that I did not have any contingency in that. That's why I say we're kissing $500,000 for that system to go. There's really no other option to fix that problem other than putting that screen in. I work with the town of Rossville. I installed 2 screens down there for them, one for the female jail and one for the county jail. Because of the exact same problem. So this is not a unique problem. It should have been designed originally and it wasn't. So now we'll get it back.
Have we got any quotes yet, or?
No, I'm still in the design process.
Okay.
With that new gravity thing. I have to reconfigure my design and get that lift station to work. Once the design is completed, I will have to submit the item for approval as a builder item. Once I'm back in item approved, it's for 5 years. And then I'll put the bid documents together and send it out for bidding. At which point I'll have 3-4 bids that I can share with you guys. I'll give you a recommendation. You decide which way you want to go.
I mean, I don't think we have any option, but we've got to do it.
We're really happy to have been done forever.
Yeah, it should have been done with jail developed.
I was a little surprised because when we visited, I think it was Stark County, we visited. That they had that incorporated as a part of their jail. So I guess I was uninformed that we didn't.
So what we have in place now, there's, it's just chewer, right in the middle of my parking lot down in the manhole.
Right, yeah. But they,
But it bypasses, there's no screen.
yeah, but they had their own separator. If I remember.
They did. Yes, they have their own separator and that stuff, just like what he was talking
Yeah.
about. So that way, I mean, once it gets washed, we don't have to worry about being hazardous material anymore and stuff like that. What we have down there now is allowing, I mean, their inmates, I'm sorry, they've tried everything to.
Oh, that's what they Stark County.
Yeah, they tried.
Plug everything.
Right, and because. I mean, it's a good system, I mean, you have no plug up.
Yeah.
But it bypasses what we have now and goes on down to Beaversburg and plugs up their screens.
Sure.
Well, if it's plugging up their screens, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Booth, Beaversburg just put that system in not too long ago. And so, it's gonna affect town people. I've already gotten notice from their attorney. I went to one of their meetings and, those letters will stop. So, but they also want to know that we were trying to do something to correct the problem. So then talking to Roger, and yeah, it should have been part of the design in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Instead of an afterthought. So that's.
I think what I'm jail intended for that chewer to be kind of a pseudo fix for that, a cheaper fix.
But they knew they had a problem with Stark County over there.
Yes.
Understand why they didn't
Right.
incorporate this.
Any of the jails that I work with, that all,
Yeah.
it's kind of a requirement. If we are trying to cigarettes, and I mean, the index will go to shoot, you got, trying to look at it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that was incorporated. Yes.
Any idea how much of that 500,000 is for the lift?
It's gonna be probably about $100,000.
Taxpayers will say to us,
That's why it's,
which I
I get it, is why can't you ask them and just make enough good stuff down?
You guys are Dr. Hope,
I mean,
right, I'm not either. Again, it's good, 10 minutes. They've got 7 days a week, 365 days a year. To sit there and go, yeah, what's wrong there? You know, one, I don't have people supposed to stand back or all the other watching guys. You know,
I told them that.
and, I mean, if they want to come in and watch them free of charge, I mean, how was it? So, and I'm not trying to be a smart. Saying, I mean, it's just impossible.
I'm not either, I'm just saying that's what they say.
Oh, yeah.
I explain it, and then they come forward.
So we're looking at 500,000.
And,
I think that's. I still wanna look at that one running in parallel. Even if it's a wash price, it's a better option, so I don't have to deal with pumps and pumps failing and all that stuff. So I'm still looking at that option, but when I come back, I'll have my design completed one way or the other. Right now, the lift station is the easy solution, the pipe is the hard solution, but financially, it's a wash. Even if I have to pay $10,000 more on the pipe, I'll recommend you guys put the pipe in. Because then you're gonna end up paying that $10,000 over time and pumps and repairs, all of them, so.
My real question on that, engineer Sarno is, I agree, it doesn't need to be the front yard, but if it's working now, would it save money? Is it possible to put that grinder in Petersburg? If we work with them
No.
and avoid the lift station?
No, the grinder, the way they was, they're telling me about the bypass, there's a 12-inch line. And they set the grinder on top of the 12-inch line. It's an open 12-inch line, right? So the intent was everything can pass through, but if that 12-inch line clogs and starts building up, the grinder kicks in and start running stuff. So it was always intended to let it pass through. It was not intended to grind stuff right then and there before it passes through. It's only to roll that pipe on the clog. It's built design. It's not a great idea.
and I even have the company that installed it. I even got one of them had it now, to actually make sure it's actually set right. I mean, and they said, yeah, that's set right. And then we start things get around it, and go on down the line to this. So.
Roger, can I ask him, Roger, I'm on the same table that you are. If it's going south, it'll save us money, it might cost you money in the beginning, get it out of the way. If I was in your jail, I'd be bored like those guys. I'm not sure I'd be throwing my clothes.
Tom, I've got more programs in that jail than what high school does with the students out there.
Yeah.
So these guys have to be busy. Then they get back and I have, I'm sorry, I got assholes in there.
Yeah.
That's who they are. And they will try to.
That's how they got in there.
I mean, yeah, and they will try to plug it in. We've had one kid, I say kid, he was 23, I think. It wouldn't go down, so he flooded his cell, went down on the ground, because he's on top tier. And that's how we took care of him. We actually brought him up front to all the stuff, but until it happens, we'll sit back here 24/7 and watch it. That's not possible. And this, like I said, I don't want to be a bad neighbor to the town of Petersburg. Just want to get this going, make sure it's in compliance with everything and move on. So, and I'm with you guys. I do not like that price. It's something that should have been in the design at the very beginning. It was not. So that's where we're at now.
Thank
Anything else? Woman?
Thank you, Terry.
All right.
Thanks very much. Greg, do you have anything?
No, we're just moving on.
Okay, and I know you're either with Senator Young or Senator Braun. Senator Braun, okay, you have anything for us?
Not specifically, just, current session and things are working, the debt is probably gonna come to the Senate soon, so the second votes to try to force the offer that the Republicans made in the House, so we'll see what happens.
But sometime in the future, could we get from Senator Lamont or Commissioner some kind of background on
what kind of, monies are going to renewables and how that impacts the county, solar or wind, subsidies or all of them. I'm sure I know the exact verbiage question to ask you.
Okay.
Are these energy generating companies supposed to generate a certain percentage of their energy by renewable at a certain date, you know, et cetera?
Well, there's federal incentives.
Yes, that's right. Okay, yeah.
How much that's going back to the county as far as?
Well, no, I want to know how much is being expended against those renewables.
Okay. Yeah, I can ask for some research on that.
Yeah, that'd be, yeah, and then let's say a solar engineering company wants to put up a farm somewhere, whatever. Are they receiving any federal taxpayer dollars of any kind, direct or indirect subsidy or tax credit of some kind? And I'll let you figure out the direct. Big part of it, exactly, so.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, Jim. And also your representative, I'd like to let you know that I saw in my email the other day, there's 2 meetings. That's close to us. There's one at DePaul. I think it's in June, the first part of June, on the 12th, maybe. I'm gonna go. And the reason why, it might, the way I've been the itinerary, it might answer a lot of your questions. There's one at Franklin College and there's one at DePaul. And I think it's like an afternoon or maybe afternoon. I'll get on that and find out some information. So is that kind of like a state thing where the state's gonna be there as well? They're gonna talk about, just recently we attended one Kelly with their carbon energy, the renewable energies. Where was all this going? Jeff, you were there. And I just going to take off and I'd like to know more about that. So is that state required to do that stuff? I'm not sure if it's state required. Is it a company putting it on or? I know
I think it's the Indiana Center for.
I apologize, I can't hear.
Yeah, I'm not here, meeting, he's talking about it, that's something that's being done by federal entity or a private. But I'm sure like that. About a month ago, British Petroleum, we were looking at funding sequestration. It helps meetings in White County and Benton County.
I read about that, yeah.
So I don't know if it's something like that coming from a private industry or it's state. Here we go. It's Wednesday, June the 7th workshop, 8:30 to 3:30 to Ball. Institute will be hosting an event, great room, so and so and so. And it just, and then there's another course at Franklin. And it starts out by saying that environmental safety impacts of solar technology, how it's going to affect the farmer, scale solar industry in Indiana, United States energy, and so on. The effects economically on the farmer and on the state, this type of thing. So that's the reason why I asked. Is the state kind of involved in that as well? Because there's been a lot of questions. Yeah, it sounds like from what you read there, state's involvement and being partnering with a not-for-profit. I kind of felt that. Well, we had one here at the 4-H building, and that was put on. When was that? When?
No, it's not.
If I can leave my contact information with you, if you can send that to me, that help. I can track it. So,
No, I had a question because I think there's congressional testimony that they want to expand it to $50 trillion on renewables. I don't know if that was worldwide or for the United States by 2050. Did you hear some of that?
Yeah.
So these are taxpayer dollars. How are they going to be expended? Where's the money going? And these companies aren't in business just to make renewables, they're in business to make money. And
I don't think that. What we're looking at. Economic development payment is not enough money. I mean, we need to be looking at generating some more monies just besides, what they might give us for the tax abatement, economic development. I don't know how we do that, but.
Yeah, there's a lot of money sliding around. I don't like.
Yeah. And if they want to use Fountain County, I think we need to figure out how to generate more money than just a tax abatement, the economic development. Fund. That's my position.
So Indiana Farm Bureau is totally against it. Solar farm, yeah, because of production ag. And the solar people market it as the farmer farming for solar energy. That, you know, and so the farmers farming solar energy, well, there's a massive amount of grain production that comes out of those fields, burdens, harvested solar. I mean, and it on top of that too.
But you know, I can't make the farmer either. I mean, look at the money that's on that.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it is a renewable energy that some farmers are already doing their part when it comes to renewable energy because their grain goes to the ethanol plant. So, but I sit on both sides of that fence. But my thought is, and I've said it before, is we need to find a way that only a certain percentage of the acres, which is 187,000 in production acres in this Fountain County, a certain percentage can be used for renewable energy, a certain percentage can be used for industry, a certain percentage can be used for manufacturing, and so on. So there, you know, we cannot tell people what to do with their acreage, but we need to have some sort of guideline or limit on what we allow, because there is another solar company working in Fountain County. So now we were up to seven. So you think about 187,000 production acres, you've got 7 companies, each takes 2,000 acres. That's 14,000 acres that are going to go out of production. Let's just say it's all grown in corn and it all makes 250 bushel. Think about the millions of bushels that will be taken out of production. So, but as a landowner that is not engaged in agriculture, and they want something left for their children and they want to protect the land. If they put it in a 40-year lease, that is giving them, their children, an inheritance. So some of the landowners that are out-of-state landowners or non-participating in the agricultural sector, that is their right to be able to do that. So where do you make the happy medium? I don't like the fact that we've got 7 actively engaged in tying up land and leases. So, you know, it does concern me as a farmer. It does concern me.
Does it concern you though, also morally as a person that, the population of the world has grown and we're setting aside land for
Well,
that
you got-
energy and you have massive amounts of bushels that come out of you said it, 250 bushel an acre.
And that's
That's
not average, but if you go by the county average is about 187.
and
Here's the other issue. You take that land out of production in the United States. Where is that production going to go?
Brazil,
It's going to go to the rainforest.
and they're clearing the rainforest to grow.
So
So
it's complicated.
it is a big can of worms. So, and I still don't.
They're coming to the Midwest because the money's here. The money's here for them. The sun doesn't shine. So why are they building the Midwest? Some Iowa.
Now, they claim there is an energy shortage in the state of Indiana, but the biggest question everyone asks as soon as someone says, well, we're going to put a solar farm here, where's that energy go? That energy goes on the line and it's out to the biggest bidder, the highest bidder. Now, could it stay in Indiana? Sure, it could. But they're not going anywhere. This isn't going anywhere. Invenergy, who is a renewable energy company, is building an 800-mile transmission line called the Grain Belt. And it started in Kansas and it's gonna come straight through Illinois, Indiana, and it's gonna go north just a little bit in Indiana. And anybody that is a municipality will be able to buy that energy. So where does this leave solar?
Solar tax into that.
They will tap
It's
into it.
a commodity.
Yes.
So, I mean,
But,
supply and
what
demand.
what I want to know is what kind of taxpayer dollars are going in to subsidize or a.
Incentivize.
a solar
Entice
tax
them to
credit or something like that. How are tax dollars
And you know,
expended?
you know where to get all this over and over.
And these are done.
Kelly?
Yes.
You mentioned something, as your engineer, and I'm writing some of the rezoning stuff, all that, well. This is the opportunity for this kind of make decisions on, what are we gonna accept and what are we not gonna accept. But while we're doing that, it's very important that we have Ken involved in that process to protect you guys from making decisions that can come back and get you to. The farmer has rights. If they wanna put a swimming pool on their land, if they wanna put corn on their land, or they wanna have solar. So whatever you guys feel that is best for the county, we can go that route, but we need to make sure that we don't cross any legal lines that could get you sued. And then it's backfires on.
I
There's
guess
a lot of precedents out there that.
Right, and in talking of the setbacks, where's the setback start on a resident? Does it start at the corner of the house?
Property line.
Or does it start at the property line?
Property
So
line.
that totally needs to be defined.
Yeah.
Because there's a misnomer that it starts at the corner of the house.
Yeah, I think that was, we clarified that with the first solar company that I worked with, they came back with them after those people up there.
Right,
And I took all their setback from the property line, it's not the corner of the house, it's the property line. If you own 20 acres, you're 100 feet away from the line of 20, so I think we clarified that. Yeah, I'm not gonna make them go 200 feet from the corner of the line, they're still on your property. Possible.
exactly.
It doesn't work like that.
It's a one of the things. We met with CX. 3,000 acres, that's pretty good. And, acre grow. So, yeah, we're already at 5 acres, and there's only 2 companies. And graders plan to grow as well. So the reason this is happening, and they said it out front, right at the beginning of the meeting, is Fountain County has latched zoning laws when it comes to solar. And we do have these 2 networks combined in your Attica, so that's the advantage, but it's really the zoning laws that
That's
are
right. I agree. I brought that up. And our fees are way inadequate to cover anything from Wazzer to Baker Tilly or anybody. I mean, that has to be on paper. We can't rely on a good bill, Baker Tilly. To.
That's what I was gonna bring
That's
up.
fine.
We're paid last year like $26,000 in legal fees for the solar panels. I see here another additional for $20,000, 22 now.
Well, I don't care.
Got a plan commission like 14,000.
I want to make sure taxpayer.
Yeah, and it's sold at 40,000 on here, sold at these. And Jeff and I attended the plan commission meeting and they said it's $250 for the permit. And Warren County charges 20,000.
Free jobs don't have a, I don't have a free permit fee kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, so why are our fees to cover all these costs?
That is something that you guys have to decide, we can make it whatever you want, and I don't think companies like that, if you charge them $250 for the permit, they're gonna fight. If you charge them $40,000, they're gonna fight. These are multi-million dollar projects. The permit fee is not gonna solve.
But we don't set fees, so.
They have to set a fee structure, and we'll have to see what precedent has been done, again, that's a legal matter, a technical matter. We're gonna step into a minefield, so you know, our lawyer can go and do his homework and say, this is what has been done in similar counties, similar states. You could go up to 40,000, maybe you can be at 20,000, or maybe you can stay at the 250, but we need to do it smart. But we don't move each other. That's the only thing
I don't disagree, Roger, but I also think that we need to have some kind of fee on a yearly basis, maybe $1,000 per megawatt. I don't know if we can do it or not, just like Newton County has a tipping fee for the landfill. So we generate some continuous revenue. I don't know if that's legal or not, but I think it needs to be looked at. There's a late for Ranger, right? There is
It's too late to do that.
probably.
No one else has applied, Gene X hasn't applied for a permit yet.
Yeah, the next is not, okay, I think the only one I have.
Right, so.
Yes, on how to use the land in and around. So I don't know how it's gonna work, but they're really trying to solve it, so we're trying to do that with the farm store. So that they can, whatever, grow flowers or run sheep or whatever it is that they're doing, but they don't understand, that's the challenge. It's up to the farmer.
I didn't mean to. Apologize to her. And I'd like to know where the money is and wherever you can find where the money's going, I appreciate it, and how it's good, expensive, how it's expended. And if you get some kind of report back.
So we can find out.
Okay.
I'll leave my car, so.
That'd be great, you got, yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Carol? I don't know, it's a plan commissioner, or
There was an ordinance that was put together years ago and written in there, so whoever developed that ordinance is fine with that. And it was voted in, so we have an ordinance, solar and wind. It's just. It's an ordinance like,
I can speak to the original words, I have developed, we did not have anything, we did not permits of work. As different definitions, okay, we did not, what I would call pre-permit solar and agriculture. Just like we didn't pre-permit land use. But when the zoning ordinance was restructured in 2019, 2021, they established a solar component, 72-year-old was 4. So I just think it all needs to be looked at.
And you meet the fourth Thursday this month, right?
Yeah.
so we have an opportunity to do that now, though, because we just looked at the ordinance again and we added to it a use table that we didn't used to have. And that use table has either P for permitted or S for special exception. So that could become one of the things. Right now, solar and ag is permitted. And a lot of the counties around solar and ag is permitted. If you guys choose to make it a special exception, that means you have to come in front of the board and make the request for a special exception to put solar and ag. Again, I like the idea, but I worry about the legality. So we really need to clear it with legal to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We're not just putting sticks in front of them so they can come back and sue us. Put sticks in front of them.
Right, but if they went to the landfill, you have to come with the issue rezone.
Yeah,
So
well, there's a lot of.
I understand.
The difference between the land.
I understand, but what I want is a uniform application to what's across constituency.
And the taxpayer shouldn't subsidize the consulting and the legal fees for these things, the permits ought to cover that. I know they talked about not wanting to nickel and dime the taxpayers, but we're nickel and diming them with all these fees that we're getting charged. And solar companies, in my opinion, should be paying those fees.
Yes, that's a catch-22 because the plan commission was worried about the fees that we're implementing on the residents. They don't want to cover it from the resident. But yeah, if you don't have those fees, how do you pay for all the management part of it and all the administrative part of it? And but every other county around us applies those fees and nobody involved that. Actually, we have people coming in Clark County and saying, you have a house permit, you say, no, it's closed. You don't have a permit, we don't have to pay a fee, no. And they're back. You know, we just gotta step up and get in line with everybody else.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Keeping in mind that yes, we do have residents that may not like it.
Okay, yeah,
My apologies.
well, move along then. last, I think everybody's talked, except Rod, do you have anything you want to bring up?
I really don't, I just, I'm here to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, let's go to report of collections as submitted. Is there a motion to acknowledge the report of collections for the health department and the reporter for the month of March? Okay, Jeff, second.
So,
You got it, Kelly?
go ahead, Tony.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 7-0. Review and acknowledge the clerk's monthly report for March 2023. There a motion to acknowledge that. Kelly, Denise, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
7-0. Review and acknowledge treasurer's bank reconciliation and monthly comparison report of funds. Is there a motion for that? Kelly, second. All those in favor? No. Okay, I think everyone was sent out the surtax, wheel tax. Want to discuss it? I know we have to adopt it by September 1st. I know the last several years, council did not want to raise any of those fees. We will have to, we have to adopt it by September 1st. We will on the track next year, so what goes over.
Is that intercity bus? I saw that the gentleman's name, the intercity bus. How about the school buses? Right.
No, school basically.
But what's that intercity bus? Is that us?
No,
That's probably
that's-
Indianapolis.
I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
So none of these have been raised since 2015.
Is that how long?
Is that correct?
Probably, I mean, it hasn't been raised since I've been on, over there, 13 years. So, it hasn't been raised since I've been on there, so they just, people complain about how much the license plates cost now. It's really, it's tough to find tools there. So.
Yeah.
You got, I think it's $40 and then the passenger.
I got it right here.
Can't think of anything else that hasn't raised since 2015. I mean, no, I don't want to raise it, but I can't think of anything else that hasn't raised since 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2011,
yes.
Yeah.
because it was really, yeah.
As long as I've been on it. The biggest question was, you know, you got big trucks in the south.
Well, 2014, we added some vehicles on there, semi trailer. We did, added some vehicles.
Right.
2014. Maybe the last. My trailers are $20, and I know they tear up our road, so.
Yeah, we have some of the folks that are good. I mean.
Yes.
The vehicles, much larger than the wagons we used to pull.
Right.
1950, 1960s.
So. Okay, well, just look this over. If you wanna make any changes, we have to do it by September. So the rate is 40%.
Can anything be done about the electric vehicle?
Well, electric vehicles have to get a license.
They're not getting charged, you know. I'm thinking on their car, just like
Yeah,
a gas vehicle would.
Weight's weight. You know, weight is weight. I mean, there's gonna be more smaller.
Do we have to install any charging stations?
got that.
But I can't-
If we have to put tax on the electric vehicles, if we have to add charging stations.
He's got it.
Nonprofit was installed a year ago. Charging stations in one of their parks. You know, if it's of interest to you, I can ask what process they went through, who pays for those charging stations? Who pays for the electric bill? I don't know, I think I about.
Or is it like they do with parking, like in Indianapolis, you get on an app and you pay for your charge?
That's, I.
You know,
Yeah.
Credit card swipe or, yeah, yeah.
You have to, I assume you have to specific charging station. Specific vehicle, like Tesla or something like that.
I think they're all the same. I think they're all.
I know Meyer in Lafayette has like 6 charging stations.
They eliminated the old building and they put a parking lot and redesigned 4 of those charging stations for them. I know how to design them, I don't know how to pay for it. Who paid it, but how do you realize this? Right. So if you guys are interested in that, I can look over there. I hope we didn't.
Yeah.
So am I right, we get like. Yes.
The wheel tax, yearly, on a yearly basis, what do we bring in? I'm trying to find it.
Then around 200,000.
That's what I found 200,000 and that's what I think that was year to date. 200,000 for 26.
That,
Today receipts.
on the interest, that's the total. Let's see that.
And what those funds found in the road?
Yes, it goes into, it goes into either MDH or MDH restricted. The money comes from. Don't we have to send it to the state and send it back to them, so you know it's got the.
Because it's about to do the BNB, the state sends it back to us.
Okay.
And it's distributed every month to the cities and towns. And counties.
It depends on your number of roads. The mileage, and that's how they set the rate. The cities and towns get money and then the county gets money on that little tax.
You can get a balance as to how much.
I'd be curious how much we bring in for the year, like last year. Okay, so if we raised it, look at that.
Okay, so that's, we'll have to do that by. Either the July or August meeting. Let's get the ready grant right now, so we'll talk about additional stuff. Sheriff's Department also, that'll be for additional, so. Okay, let's you look at your sheet. Couple sheets I passed out this morning. Hey, could we? Break? Oh, yeah, take a 5-minute break. Okay.
What sheets did you give us again, Dudley? I think this is on here.
Two sheets, funds,
Sugar Creek when was signed on, and it was go, they were starting to bring it in.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
That's why I would.
That was good.
Because it's only going to increase our revenue by $1,000 a year versus that's good in the long run. But if it, you know,
I mean, we would increase it. Sheets.
yeah, but I don't want to.
What is it? Let's go $5.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not those,
Yeah,
but they turn up the road.
Yes.
I mean,
The way I look at it too, is, okay, I'm gonna probably make sense, but it's very bad. Take a look at my triggers, and we're gonna play this for me,
So you.
if you play this back. Over the others, like a year, 1 year, or a 5-year cycle, I mean, to me, put 20 across the board.
That was that.
My triggers. One of these over the other, it might. See, like, I thought that last year.
That's really total or just that?
It's the bottom. For this
Is that
year.
for this?
It's kind of like, like $300, you know.
800,000.
Okay.
Did they have?
Yeah.
Well, pretty true. I never. And the fire.
Interesting. Every county has all the ordinances listed and it's. They have one. That you can. No. Building regulations, construction. I know. Website. One, their permits. For certain things. I mean, it's so. My husband couldn't even put in another driveway into our field without having a permit. And it had to be done with specs, we had to use like a metal. It had to have a certain number of stone that had to be used and it was just on county road. That's what I was thinking earlier.
Sorry.
Okay, let's,
Should not be.
I think that the three new numbers who started us. We're always out at 10 o'clock. Okay, so I gave you the first sheet, the one that has year 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. These are the main funds that we have control over. And so I'm just gave you what those collected those 5 years and what our average, what we can expect to get. So that you can have that and know, I just try to keep a 5-year running of where we stand on money. Now the county general maintenance 2 is down to $57.82. We wanna, when we do additional, we wanna spend that and just wipe that account. That's an old account. I believe it was created back when we had the old EMT building and we referred to. The state let us put that money into an account. We don't collect anything from into it now, so we want to wipe that one out, so that one will no longer be on our list. But all the others are Yes.
If the commission does not need me, so I can go.
Yeah. No, we're just talking about additional.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Roger. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So then the other sheet that I gave you has what each one of these accounts started with from January 1st, 21, 22, 23. And then what our average income is for those and what our budget is for 2023. So if you look at this, some of them I'm gonna talk about county general, our budget. If we spend every bit of our budget, we will spend $100,000 more than what our income will be, which will have to come out of our banking balance. Human capital development, pretty good shape. We started this year at 766,000. If we spend every bit of our budget, we'll be depleting that about 150,000. CEDAT, I don't know how that we'll be able to do any more additional without CEDAT because of what our average income is, what we started the year in, we're about $50,000 short if we spend every bit that's budgeted for this year. Same way with public safety, we're gonna be about 25,000 short of that. So any additionals we do are gonna have to come out of our county general and or human capital development. Our reassessment fund it's gonna be okay for 2 to 3 years, but then we're gonna have to either raise that tax rate. What we did a couple years ago, that was setting with a pretty healthy fund. So we cut the tax rate a penny and increased our county general a penny because our county general was not covering our budget every year, so we did that. Same way with our health department, we cut in a penny, added it to county general because we're sitting on 1.6 million, I think, a few years ago, and now we're spending. We cut that so that it wouldn't just keep building. Now that our health department has been split, budget this year's so far is about 70,000 more than what it was when we were joined with Warren County, and then we have more additionals. So that's going to cost the taxpayers more every year in split. I think our highways are in pretty good shape. They started out with good funding, and our budget is less than what we should be getting this year. But we're okay there. And the E911 the budget is higher than the income, but we also will be getting a payment from Warren County of $275. So we're okay there. But I just wanted you to have this. So when we talk about all these additionals, we got to figure out, do we want to, are we gonna deplete our county general? Because there really isn't any room for anything else. So that's, now we come to this. And this totals almost $1 million, and the 450,000 for the trail is not on here. And our health insurance, we had 500,000 in one account, 400,000 in another. We've already depleted 500,000. So, and we're only in May, and last year we had to do an additional 800,000 for health insurance.
And don't we have someone adding on in the health department?
Yes.
Yes, so we got 21,200.
But that's included in this almost
Okay.
$1 million there, but so we're at 1.4 and do more insurance, and we're looking at maybe having to take $2 million out of our county general. That's what we got to discuss. Now, some of these aren't out of county general, but we've got, look at these additionals. None of these have been advertised, so we can't vote on these. We need to decide what we want to do and get them advertised. But if we
One
don't,
thing too, that it's not in additional, but we need to think about, they talked about at the commissioners meeting was 48,000, they did not change the figure for the helicopter. It's gonna remain the same as what we paid last year, and that was $48,871. And we took that.
Last year. Yes, that way this year.
is it out this year, and how much did we budget? We budgeted enough for that. Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna care just maybe.
And now, I think I told everybody about the sheriff's retirement. What happened in 2022, they didn't bill us. And we got billed January this year, so we had to use what was, so that money already went back into county general 2022, so now we had to pay 2022's bill out of 2023's budget, now we're gonna have to do an addition to pay for those, so it's not really, I mean, that's not the sheriff's fault, it's retirement people not billing.
Where does that bill go? Does it go to the sheriff department? Does it go, I mean,
That's
do
the
you,
problem.
is that the
It
problem?
goes to me and the sheriff's department. I thought the sheriff's department was paying it, they thought I was paying it, so it's.
So that's where the price, because that's what I'm like, why is it someone realize, hey, there's always money
Yes.
sitting there.
And I don't know why somebody didn't know something here.
Right.
This.
Yeah.
So then we need to think about, to get back on track, is we're gonna have to think about paying this last year's this year, and will we be
What's in the
billed?
budget? It's in the budget.
Yeah, I already have some for this year.
Yes.
And I mean, really, we're not, we had it in the budget last year.
Yeah.
It went back into the fund. We're not really losing any money. It's just being all paid in 1 year.
This is just excess in the fund.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was.
As long as we're on to the
Yeah, so it went,
unfortunate mistake.
it went back into public safety, and that's why we started the year with 171,000. But that would have been down to 76,000, and that's when, then we would be looking at even a less, more of a deficit. So, we've had, some of these accounts have had some pretty good balances, but we've had a lot of additional, like last year, we had 1.4 million in additional spending, so we spent those down. Well, some day down the road, we're gonna be having to take it out of the county general, and then once that's depleted, then we're in bad shape. It's some counties have depleted theirs and had to lay off employees, and we don't really want to get to that situation. So that's why we need to look at these carefully. Some, the plan commission, what's this additional 40,000 for?
And they don't have listed here, the commissioners are proposing a daily comment and 55,000.
That's right, that's not in there. And then they signed a contract with somebody to look at the courthouse, bringing that up to date, and I saw one figure like $1,000 an hour to charge, and that's not in our budget either.
Only did they sign a contract with the comprehensive plan or with they just.
They signed it. They said they were here.
We agreed to go ahead, I don't think voted. To sign a contract to do things.
So they just need the funds.
Yeah, so that's not included on here either.
So the 40,000 for Roger, my understanding that was Lawless last year too, that he never built. correct?
This is current, what he has currently.
Yeah,
Okay.
And well, all the $18,000 has been paid to Roger. And we just got those bills at the end of the quarter. So I've been sitting on them because there's no money. But in that 40,000 is the 18,000 that we owe him.
From last year.
Yes,
Okay.
so there's money owing in that plus future.
Okay.
His estimate on project completion is beyond 18,000, is 21,580. This is what I pulled off from him.
And at the plan commission, Jim, we talked about the floodplain, is that Roger wasn't gonna be involved in that.
Yeah, it's not good to be built.
So he's already billed us $250 for doing those. And Joe Whitaker said we've had 22 so far this year. And Joe said it's a 5-minute process for him to go on the computer and sign off whether it's,
And he's been charged for quarantine and things like that.
and, so planning commission said he wasn't to do any of the floodplain, but, I'm told we got a bill. So that may need to be discussed with the planning commission. That, Joe needs to do that, emergency management, because it's 5 minutes, he pulls it up. In fact, the one he did, he put the place within a flood zone and it was not.
And when he does that after the commission meeting last Monday, he said, we'd rather for them to do it if they could. If they have questions, we don't mind doing it. And printing and things, there's some things that we don't have the capabilities of printing as far as architect part of it and what have you, so there's some things there.
And health department, they wanted to raise their board members to 1,000. Well, we do that, we're gonna have to do all our.
Is there any,
Language.
We better,
we have all these boards,
yeah,
and they're all paid differently, and I understand every district's budget, but I'm afraid to raise one. Then you have to raise the sheriff board, you have to raise some.
yeah. But it's,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
that is.
and the county attorney, 90,000, that's more than we paid county. For the commissioner,
I think that's a high, I do
Why don't we budget?
agree with the fact that. Why do we have rules in place if we don't have any means then to continue on to enforce them?
Okay, and this thing,
That's hard, that's tough.
But we got money to 2,000
Yeah.
for 2 counties. For
Right.
years.
She had told us there's been numerous properties that are in bad shape, that need to be cleaned up. And when she approaches the attorney on them, they say, you don't have enough money, so just ignore it. I mean, that makes me sick to think they're doing their job to find these awful things and then told,
It can't do it without,
yeah.
that's what she's saying. If we give it 19,000. It'll be, I got it, and they'll do more.
We might even take care of one property. Yeah.
Investment is. What are we getting
Yes.
from the pursuant? Or pursuance of the land, the land and the cleanup and I think that's what you were alluding to when you asked her, and I don't know if she didn't understand or just didn't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Do we get anything from them? I mean, say the 234 project, obviously the bank is involved because there's probably a lien against the property.
So we're gonna get whatever ourselves. That's
Right.
the way that was. So they didn't get any of the fines, that were assessed daily. The bank said, here, we will clean it up. And they did. And then instead of paying you the fines, Leo, you get the sale, the proceeds from the sale.
they can afford them.
So, which that was
They couldn't afford the
Yeah.
fines at that.
So,
point.
but not, at least we're gonna get something, now what it's up for, I think she felt like that was one of the better solutions she's had, because normally.
It's not
nobody
nice
takes
for
the
them,
fines.
right?
I mean, it's because we can't enforce them, because we don't have any to enforce them.
So by having the attorney, they could put their thumb on it and press it a little more than
Another scenario too, you have a piece of ground along 74. From what I understand, they get on him, he cleans it up, and then he starts bringing stuff back in again. This has happened at least twice since I became auditor.
So, but, and also you gotta think about if you have a property near, say, the creek. And that, it becomes a hazard, becomes an environmental hazard. So therefore you are gonna have representation to help with that. Because I didn't think that, probably tell them, get it done. Or we're gonna do it.
but maybe we should just
Instead of,
Have that, make it a certain amount, because if you give 19,000, they're gonna spend 19,000.
right,
I think you have straight. Make
I
it
can agree that.
more five,
Crazy,
and
and
back
it might
to
be too much.
yeah,
Yeah,
so that's what I'm thinking too.
is it 10?
5,000.
5 and 10 or 7,500 or I don't know. What's an hourly rate for an attorney? I know it depends.
Let's just say,
Yeah, I know ours is about 300 and I know, whoever Tipton uses was 250 to 300. Yeah, it's a commission there. I was talking about that the other week or something. So I would say anywhere from 250, 300 maybe. Not sure what Ken charges, but I would say it's too much.
I could go like 7,500.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
So I would just have-
Yeah.
And the board members. Should we just leave it the way it's is for this year and then they can come next year for the better if they want to, we can look at all of them and then.
Just for my office, if you raise that, if they make over $600, that's gonna cause some problems
To 9.
with the 1099 and the W.
So let's just. go on the
Second.
How many board members are there? Of board? Apart from it, there's that.
Yeah.
You only use 4,000.
The planning commission was the same, really.
Take it out.
You take it out.
You know.
Solid waste, $5.99, so we don't have to.
So let me ask you this. That's like that.
I think it was more.
Your
than
meeting.
that.
Was there dining maybe?
Yeah.
I think about last.
Do they need some?
Well, that may be set by the state.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I think it's set by the state and then, but since we're the Vine County, that they. Have it different.
Yeah.
That, yeah, I don't think that could be, I think it has to be 4, sorry, 3.
Sure.
So, lease rental, do we have enough? Does that take you through the year?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and we all
And I
got an
split.
explanation last month, I think everybody's okay with the lease for the vehicles, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what about the 135,000 for the staff pressure, which I'm thinking is referring to culverts on the
Yeah, he talked about that, Tom. He said what it was for.
structure maintenance.
And that's using the 67 from the sale and 68 that they got back. Yeah, so have that,
Okay.
yeah, everybody. okay?
Yeah, and that.
That's money comes back into its. The consulting engineer on the jail grinder, that could be outlet, everybody okay with that? I think that's,
So that goes to
We
Roger
can
too,
use-
that 30,000 consulting is for Roger too.
that go to Roger.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what he's kind of figured out what would be.
The
for
cost
his-
for the whole.
Yes.
project. But, I mean, that is going into the jail project, can't use it for any expenses of operation of the jail, but any improvements or way I understand that the lead money can be used, so, yeah, the lead special purpose, yes.
So does the lit month, does the payment for the jail come out with
Yes,
the payments?
payments for the bonds, and that's the only thing we can use. The lead money for anything like major expenses of the jail, use the lead, but we cannot use it for operations of the jail or anything. That's the only way the legislature would pass that special lead tax for us. But that would be an expense, thing. Grinder would be an expense that, I don't think state board of accounts would.
No,
Take us on that. So,
What's capital outlay? CPM.
yeah, what is that? 250, oh,
that's a cute,
community crossing?
yes, that's
Okay,
usually crossing.
and that should come out, if we could take it out of the NVH, that would be perfect. So that-
You want me to try it? Well, I can't, I have to advertise. Let me look at let me look at it.
I mean, I know in the past, we've only taken our match out of rainy day or county general.
This is a match.
That's a match for the highway department when they, community crossings. The state gives us 500,000 for a project, we have to match 750,000.
Here's another thing.
Okay.
We are paying for the federal bridge project. I have not got paperwork. We're supposed to get together this week and get it. I haven't asked for any money on that match on those. So that's gonna have to come out of something. In the past, we've done, you know, Cuba Bridge or something like that.
Do we know what that's gonna be?
I know, that's why we need to meet, because I don't have anything on.
So we started 744,000 coming from Cuba Bridge. And if we spend every bit of our budget, we'll be taking 18,000 away from that, so that still leaves us 726. Then 89,000 of that is, so that's 637, so we have 637. to play with.
Okay, so.
So do the capital outlay, try to get it.
Out of-
Look at it.
Yes.
In the end.
If not, then we'll have to. Really don't, rainy day, you know, supposed to keep 1 million for the landfill, and they just can't take anything out of the rainy day, till we get that bill back out.
Getting closer.
I know. Okay, the Ready Grant childcare, 23,950. We're gonna approve that, we need to know what accounts take that out of, and what is that money going to?
We don't
Who's
know.
benefiting? I know.
He was supposed to be getting something from the school, principals
Covington.
out of that. Yeah.
Have we gotten anything for the last 3 and 4 months?
But I was wondering, we still don't know what the grant is. That was one of those, we had to
We had to commit.
commit, but until anything happens, we don't have to pay anything because it's a match.
Plus, we don't know what else is gonna be needed put on that. Just because it's childcare. What else did we sign on for just to pay this? We don't know that.
So, and I think what Brenda, what she said was that Ryan Sowers, I think it was Dusty, the Vatican, we're going to consider putting something together. Based upon the passing of the student in the junior high at Covington, I believe Ryan Sowers will not be considering anything, just because of the workload and things that are going on in school. So I don't know if Dusty's gonna do anything. I'm not sure.
So do we know if they don't pursue anything, do we have to put our funds in?
And we signed this memorandum of understanding, and the first payment was due March 15th. For 23,950.
If we want to be part of the wedding grant, that's my hang up. You know, it's like forcing us to be part of something that we don't even have any involvement right now. And this was the kind of the, you know, passing item. I don't question. I really do.
On the hand, stuff that was handed out, there was, they showed a need.
Yeah.
For Fountain County. I mean, and I think any working mother would agree.
Absolutely.
Right, but what, do we get an employee, or what do we get for that 23?
Well, I think
It's a service, it's a service.
We put in 23, and I don't know what Ready Grant kicks in, so I don't know if it was dollar per hour, or if it was, you know, then we got 75,000 in per year. We kick in 23 and we get 75,000 to be used for expansion or program of childcare, but no one's gonna use the 75,000.
Right, it says according to IEDC, it is matched by funds from the counties and cities. The funding will be used by the Lafayette-based Child Care Resource Network, a program of early steps to expand license and high-quality childcare across the region, so that would be Fountain County. As part of the project, startup funds for new programs and mini grants for expansion projects will be awarded to in-home daycares and childcare facilities. Ready funds will target the counties of Denton, Fountain, Tiffany, Warren, and White. So it sounds like they come in, this child resource center, to me, it sounds like they do an assessment, see what your needs are, and then help you develop your childcare program using these funds.
So what we need to do is get the word out for local in-home daycares and schools to apply for
Right,
funds from Ready.
and it sounds like if the school systems are gonna do it, they need to let us know that they want to participate.
I think they just need to apply to the Ready grant.
Okay, so here it says out of that $23,950, $4,772 will cover the project manager's salary, benefits, coalition activities, legal fees, administration fees. For year one, year two, it's $4,735. If the county does not use the funds, then match funds are not used are returned to the county.
Okay, so no.
So let's advertise it and see if we have any more information by next month's meeting before we vote on that. Okay, let's put it in, because if we don't put it in, then we can't vote on it.
Well, who, the child care you're saying, maybe the school will take that on? I don't see that.
They already have, that already has.
Yeah.
Within the school.
Yeah,
They have preschool, they have a daycare program out of the school.
and if your child is
And it's a
preschool
waiting
age,
list, people
Yeah.
can get into it, there's a huge waiting list.
right, and if your child is preschool age, they'll go to childcare, they'll take them down to, just walk them down the hall to preschool, and then pick them up and bring them back to the
They have
childcare.
babies, I mean,
So they got some of this funds, they can take more students in.
Right, or enhance their.
Okay.
That means it has one, and that central is starting, we're trying to start one. We have a grant application.
But it had, it's.
So- I believe so.
Right.
Yeah, that's the excellent church.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they said there's no Bible teachings during.
Right.
So
So it's been
grant money. Yeah.
I don't think that communication has happened.
So let's go ahead and advertise it, but it'll, if I have to come out of county. Well. Let's do Cuban capital development, so if I'm okay with that. Advertise that, and then we can.
And do we have to approve them? I guess we won't approve them until later, is that right?
Yeah.
So we can't tell revenue.
Now, it's gotta be advertised before we vote on that. And,
So we won't be able to pay it till maybe in June, I mean, unless you give me approval to pay it, so.
Right, because it's due March 15th.
Have been screaming about it, have they? Have been screaming about it?
Not to me, I don't know about the commissioners, but not to me.
Okay. Okay, so Cuban capital development, okay. Next one's economic development, I assume that's for the weekend,
Yes.
250,000. So everybody's thoughts on that?
I think we got a lot of bills here.
I do. My thought on economic development, $250,000 right now, I'm not for that, I was not.
Is that just a one-time payment for
No.
3 years?
That's 3 years. 3 years.
250,000 a year.
Year.
750,000 total.
I think we need economic development, but I wish people like the cities to have tied into this at the outset.
I am upset about that with the cities. I mean, their thought is they need to see something before they look free to get.
$250,000 in leadership. Past it, should have won $80,000. Well, he just came to the board and said it'd be $250,000 per township.
No, I mean, 250,000 is the total, and they divided it out by by population for Pennington, Attica, every one of the cities towns.
I think it was 80 or something like that, but yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the program. But
The only reason that was Brad said that he wouldn't do it if it was an election year and they wouldn't support it for the city and that.
Right.
And so then they kind of stopped pursuing any of the towns or cities, is how I understood it.
I saw the program.
Yeah, we can.
Wanted the county to fund it for the first 3 years and
And
then
the
the cities.
what I was told the commissioners thought, and there is some, the amount of interest we're getting our money could more than fund this, but we haven't got that kind of interest for years and over the last 6 months. We have just the interest of what they have invested.
For county general, it's going down.
How do we govern that? What would you say?
I don't know, that was in the county general, I assume, doesn't it?
Well, it goes into each, it's split out, I mean. Like based on what's invested, the county general gets that interest that each department. Yeah. I believe that's how that's broken out.
It's on the bank interest report. It's how the money, like for each, right here, each bank. At the top is listed and then.
Yeah, see like Hume Bridge interest and Hume reassessment drainage. They each.
Majority goes into.
Yes.
Those are the funds that exceed interest.
So how does Kim come up with $700,000 or $800,000?
So far this year, we have gotten $300 and some thousand in interest.
That's what the commissioners would.
That's my thought is,
That's
are they gonna do $250,000 worth of economic development?
$750,000. I can see the breakdown of salaries and where that's going.
They already use it.
How much? We have the 30,000 salary that we set for an economic development. Employee, right?
Yes, under the officers.
So potentially we could use that towards this,
I don't think we're gonna find anybody for
not this year. I mean, we haven't been pursued it.
So I think when you're under fire here in a second, when opportunity comes, you will prepare, and so if we don't make some kind of investment, when things do come along, I think we're gonna miss the boat. And some of these things, as we know, they take multiple years for them to develop, and so we will never, ever, I think, reap the benefits of some of these projects. I mean, we'll occasionally get a lot of it in something, but it's not because of any great planning that we've done. And so I just think that we need to, I would be supportive of committing to it, but also making sure that there's regular reporting, regular updates, and we know that we can both train after 2 years. So we just have not seen enough going on. We're just lining pockets of people and no economic development. I think 700,000 is small in return for the potential.
Right.
You know, I mean.
I don't think we're going to get 750 for years. Now you might get 2.5 million, but it's those lottery wins that offset the payment each year.
Yeah, it's
In my-
that comes in.
Yes.
You know, they're saying so.
I guess my other thought is, one, is he doing the economic development? Is he gonna have a team do the economic development? Because if it's him, there's a lot of hats he's wearing. And I'm just afraid that Fountain County will slip through the cracks in his, you know.
I'm surprised they didn't. The interest we received so far, this is through today. This is just county general. We have 330,226.18. Then also, I set up a different receipt code just for the money that's in ARPA, because it can go in county general. And we have received 37,928.26. So right there is 367
Yeah, in 4 months,
in county general, just for the first 4 months.
I'm sorry, you're.
Yes, I mean, as long as it's.
Yeah, this is just, it's just for the operation. So let's say a project comes along, it's gonna require a matching grant. You know, let's say it's an 80-20, 75, then we're still gonna have to come up with that this isn't covering the entire cost, and just to open the doors.
At that point, hopefully, you would see some return of this program's coming. I mean,
Gonna bring in.
we're getting
tax
this right.
dollars.
Yeah.
It's 250 a year. Every years.
They could bail, you gotta give them a year notice. And they gotta give us a year notice if they wanna bail on us. But it's contract,
Well, we're good for 3 years, right? I mean, it's guaranteed for 3 years. Then after that, we give them a year's notice. So at the end of 2 years, does that mean we notice we want to?
I mean, we better be bailing.
Well, after 1 year, if we don't. Or even 2 years,
After 2 years, we could say we don't want to do it.
but we still have to stay in a third year. So we have to add $750,000 to the project. We're committed for 7 days.
Or we better off just finding a great individual that can pay them $75,000-$80,000.
I don't think you'll get somebody.
It would be more than that.
I
I think it'll be 150.
It's gonna be 100, yeah.
One individual.
Yeah.
But didn't the council approve $750,000 for a project in Attica?
Oh, 500.
500.
I mean, so it sounds to me as a layperson, when I heard that, like you're committed to economic development. And then. But now we're not gonna have manpower. To do it.
What's being done so far in Attica, I haven't seen anything done with that building.
They're waiting on these funds to finish the building.
So they're gonna use this 250,000 on that building?
No, part of it goes to just the management and meetings with their salaries to be able to do it, because right now, so much of it's just volunteer. I know, part of it, I think.
I don't know when it changed, so he was economic development director of Attica.
He still is.
Okay.
So he's an economic development of Attica. He's doing his own project. He's doing WEGA. And now he wants this. That's 4 hats.
Will you continue? with
Well-
the administration?
So is that why?
I don't know.
I mean, he's gonna hire somebody else, we don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think his intent was to hire someone to help take the load off of him for the WEGA.
Maybe he needs to do it, this is gonna be successful.
Yeah.
Like I say, public meeting, but. I like to say.
So we just write it down and show that.
I think we need economic development. I think there's a lot of monies to be had out there. We just don't know how to go about getting it. And I think if we have someone that can do this for us, super, but my only concern is he's one person, and even if he does hire somebody else, it's still one person that's going to pursue this avenue. I'm like Dale, I'd like to see reports. How much time is he gonna spend for our county? How much of his time will he spend for our county? That's gonna justify the $250,000 each year for 3 years. I think that's all of our concerns.
So why don't we advertise it? And then get all your questions that you want answered and get those to Rod and answer before we do the vote on it. And next month's meeting.
Mhm.
Is that agreeable with everyone?
Everyone keeps referencing Carroll County, I got some friends in Carroll County, I can make inquiry as to, you know, how things are functioning there. It's supposed to be similar to what he's supposed to here, so.
Did anybody have any questions about the contract? I know you had 3.1 on you.
And he changed that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
I thought it was very narrow, focusing on manufacturing industry. Like I could see him spearheading the childcare industry, quality of life issues, all those other things. So I thought it could be broader, but you gotta start somewhere, so maybe that's expanding that industry, manufacturing business, so.
That might be a question to send to him. He's in there. Rod's in there.
Great decision.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Carol.
So, what kind should we advertise? County general.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, it was a good one.
We'd like a little better understanding of the 250,000 where it goes towards.
Okay, in terms of breakdown,
Yes.
yes. So 180,000 is for staffing, so that's for people. I can send you this list separately if you like, because I have it broken down in my computer, not in my head. However, additional money is for insurance. We have liability insurance. We have lots of probably 2 or 3 programs that will have to pay a monthly fee to use. So that's for greenfield sites and various economic development efforts. And they're a little more pricey than they should be. We've got some office space money, not a lot, but we're going to need, you know, the basics, copiers and high-speed internet and phone service and all those sorts of things. And then we have a small amount in there for reimbursement. So for instance, right now, I'm working for Attica. If I have to go to Indianapolis to work through a deal or you know, buy somebody lunch, it comes out of my pocket. And I've been doing it because, you know, that's what needs to be done. We don't want to do that going forward. So it's a small amount. But I'm happy to send you that breakdown. I haven't done it today because I didn't want to burden you with a lot of information as we're talking through the specifics. Now it makes sense to me. So $180,000 is a number that will allow me to hire at least 1, if not 2 staff. So we can debate this all day long, but there is a report that comes out every year from IDC on what all the economic developers are making throughout the state. I don't know how they do that, but they release a report every year. And it varies between about 60,000 on the very low end to upwards of 200,000 on the high end. The median is right around the 150 range. So I have lowered that, because obviously that's a high price tag for this group. And that would allow me to potentially, the director would be around 110 or 100. And then the additional staffing would be down in the 60,000 and so forth. You have to hire someone, you know, right now it's me. Okay? That's not going to be forever because I've got other things going, but I'm going to stick around until we're off the ground and really running, and I want to make sure it works. But in order to hire someone that has the skill level to handle all that is involved, you've got to have someone with experience, and that requires that level of payment. The people that are spending $60,000 a year are finding, you know, retired people that just want something to do, or finding someone on the younger end because they don't have a large agenda. Our agenda is massive, and it's partly because there hasn't been a lot of effort to date, so we've got a lot of effort to kind of get ourselves in the queue. This comprehensive plan that you've already approved, that's the baseline. It's a wonderful thing, it's very important, but it is just the baseline, because they won't even talk to us until we have that in place. But once that's in place, there's additional layers, many additional layers. We're, Liga is right now working on an application with USDA. USDA has amazing funding for rural communities, if you qualify. Just to get through the USDA process, we've got 6 months of pre-qualification with SAM.org, and I think there's another one. And then once we're in, we're ready to go. So that's the reason for the cost of staffing.
So the director would be full-time.
Full-time.
Are you saying that's you then?
That is you, me, and this
And $1,000.
110. It is not, I mean, there are no benefits in that number.
That's what I was gonna ask, what,
Right, there are no benefits in that number, there's nothing at all. So by the time you get the benefits taken care of and so forth, that number is really in the $80,000 range.
and you can hire someone to do that for $80,000.
What about the board? What's the makeup of the board? Because all the names I see right now on the WIGA, I still see all Attica people.
Correct. So the board is, as we described in previous submittals, we just have to go through a process of selecting that. So we can have that conversation as a group of how you want to do that. The intent is that each taxing jurisdiction would have a representative, with the exception of, I think we combined Newtown and a lot, and we combined Kingman and Wallace. And then there would be one representative in our proposal. There's one representative for all the schools. And we felt like that might help bring the conversation together. And then I think there, I'd have to go back and look, but I think there was a commissioner representative and a council representative. We can structure it however you want, but the idea is that we would have county representation, not Attica.
So these new board members, are they gonna be in addition to the regular board, or is somebody gonna step down?
Yeah, we're gonna restructure,
Okay.
and our board has agreed to do that.
What about the money we set aside for Attica? Has that board been restructured? Because that was part of the agreement with that money. Has that been done yet?
So as soon as we sign an agreement with the county, and we're in the process now, we'll go back and sign a new agreement with Attica. So the $42,000 they set aside for management will go away, but they will continue to spend, and they've agreed to do this. They will continue to spend their economic development dollars towards specific projects. And with those specific projects right now are the workspace and the market. But they are completely committed to the market. That's really where they want to spend their money. And so very similar, if we were to do a project in Petersburg, there would be a separate fund associated with that project. And that's what Atticus do. They're creating a separate fund associated with the project they're in.
So you would step down as the economic development director and it would just be absorbed.
I'm not there today.
You're not there today.
No, so I work for WIGA. And then WIGA has a contract with the city. And what we're gonna do is just revise that contract. So how we do it, I mean, I'd love input, whether you want to appoint, if you want each city to appoint a certain representative, or if you want to go out to,
They should get an appointment if they put money into the project.
I'm like that, if the county's gonna pay for
Then you should have a board. That's exactly right. And the cities who can turn an appointment over to them.
it, we actually have a board right here that represents all the county.
now the board is, and that's fine. But the board will be an active board, so you can talk to our current board. I drive it crazy. Essentially, there's a lot of effort that they will be involved in.
But if we could get all that in writing
Yeah,
before we vote next month,
Absolutely.
that would be great. On the breakdown, how the board is gonna be set up and.
I missed one item, the accounting. So right now, Sharon, because she is an accountant, is managing that for us. It's an unbelievable amount of work. And when we move countywide, it's gonna get crazy. So, part of that expenditure for the 250 is to hire an accounting firm. And do all the
Is the board
reporting.
paid?
What's that?
Is the board a paid board?
No,
And that was another thing that was brought up, we'd like to see in the accounting, that I don't think monthly's just too much, but maybe quarterly. Then the accounting where the money's going.
sure, that's not a problem.
What progress you're making on economic development. That you could get that quarter.
I told Tim, I said, I'm gonna do this differently, than we did Attica. I have not been reporting what we've accomplished in that amount of time, because we had specific goals and targets. But I think what happens is people don't really understand how economic development works, so they look at it and think, well, you haven't done anything. It's unbelievable, you know, what we have done, but, so I think what we'll do, in that quarterly report will explain everything that we've been working on and what progress we've made.
Would it be possible to do like a 2-page summary, like a program plan, just high level, how you do governance? Some of these programs that you have in the works that you're working on now. Just
Governance for the program or for our management?
because I'm not sure, but just something tangible to help us make our decisions. I know you've provided some information, but yeah, just how you're gonna be structured, how do you think you're gonna be structured? I know you cite however we wanna do it, but I think we're listening and being entertained by your proposal. Sure. So how you would, I know it's shifted a little bit because of decisions.
What I can do is send you our current bylaws. And I can, then I can, add an additional direction on how we might structure this for, okay.
Or any comments in the bylaws or something that, again, you'll have to start from scratch, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mentioned Carroll County a few times and they do, it's slightly different than posted, but, they've been through quite a bit, so I kind of rely on Miriam to tell me. The first issue will be how the board gets formed, obviously. But then we can structure within that board, certain areas of observation if you prefer that. So right now, everyone that joins the Liga board participates in everything we do. But if you want certain people attached to certain projects in certain regions, we can do that as well.
So you're gonna have people attached to different regions. What about industries? Because I'm concerned about agriculture. This whole.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, agriculture is one forgotten or taken advantage of. I mean, what time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. That's my issue.
So we had, I think I did a thing of the tree. Showing how the organization would work. You have that. So in that tree, there's a governing board. That's the main board that we're talking about. Under that are different advisory boards associated with targeted markets. And so we can expand that. Right now, it's just small business, housing, and tourism. But we can expand that to include.
Yeah, agriculture does have voice. Agriculture.
Recently, I had someone kind of push pretty strongly on attracting new factories. I'm not sure I'm there, but if that's what everybody wants to do, we could do that, and then it would have its own kind of advisory board. Oh, there it is.
This is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And this is a contract with Allen County. And all the kinds of agreements. The infrastructure. And how much money is each particular township and city is going to be prorated for this particular economic development contract. And then my concern is, you know, right now, you're not part of the Attica market. You're not involved with
I
that
am.
marketplace, or you done with that?
No. It's ongoing.
Yeah, and so I asked you last meeting, a written statement for us, because we've taken on a marketplace, this doesn't go, you owe. Sell that marketplace, you owe the county money.
Yeah, your money was for the workspace, it's for the co-working space. And
I
so,
mean, that was my understanding, if there was some problem down the road, where's the county putting forth $500,000? That's where I am on it, I just want it written up, so that if I'm not here, nobody else, whoever's here has got some written information to carry that. Am I wrong? Am I stating that wrong?
no, I'm just trying to process, we put together an agreement for the 500,000, didn't we?
No, I didn't see it. I asked Colleen, she doesn't.
No, I was.
We, in the motion, we put what we wanted done, but I don't think anything's been done.
All right, let me look into that.
You could report that next month, that would be great.
And how big is your board right now? How many people?
6 people.
6 people. And the other thing is, let's say that, this was a situation. What do you do first? You've got economic development for all these townships in the county, and Jeff just stated, if we're gonna put that money forward, we're responsible. You're responsible to us, we're responsible to you, amount of money that we put forward, and what we're getting back from the money economic. Do we expect anything within the next 2 years that's really going to show that we have helped South County with the amount of money, $750,000? Are we going to see that? Are we going to see that?
Yeah, so the initial part of the process will be figuring out where we want to go and what we want to achieve. So I can't say today what's going to happen on any timeline because we don't know exactly what it is we're going after. What I will say though, is by having this in place, there will be some unknown successes that you didn't even see coming. That was my experience in Attica, and that is the experience of other developers as well. But you can take full credit, and you should, for what is going to happen in Attica. We've spent 2 years developing that under WIDA, and you are participating in that with your $500,000 for the workspace. And it is now, when we become countywide, it will be a county product. It will be a partnership with the city of Attica and with ISBDC out of Purdue, and potentially the USDA and potentially Ready Grant. And so it's going to be a combined partnership of a lot of people, but you can take credit for it because you financially participated in it and provided the management arm for it. So I think, you know, it is inadequate, yes, but it is a product that will serve a wide range. And so also, once we get running, if there's a workspace need in Petersburg or something, we can open up a second location and handle it that way. What's challenging here, Tom, is that initially it was all Attica, right? So we weren't really even thinking outside of those boundaries. What's great is that the stuff we've concentrated on, we can roll out another location and we don't have to start over. But I fully expect that there will be much more than what's on the table right now when we go countywide. So for instance, if there are greenfield sites, we've not been doing any greenfield sites in Attica because it's urban. But you know, if there's a greenfield site in the county where we want to try and go for a factory or whatever, that's a new development that's currently on the table. And those are the things we'll discover in our process of the comprehensive plan. You know, I just had the solar farm, met with GeneX, and GeneX came in and they said, oh, so you're going to be the person who send all our RFPs to. Oh, no, yeah, that's right. because that's typically how it works. So when they're looking at land acquisition and so forth, they need the county's buy-in, and it typically goes through economic development first, just to kind of connect the dots.
So Carroll County, what did you say?
We have been working with Carroll County structure because Miriam, our attorney, is the attorney for Carroll County. So we've had access to information there. In fact, when I produced my preliminary budget, Miriam weighed in on how they spend money and helped me create that budget. So I wasn't doing it interactively.
So you said at one time that Fountain County looked very similar to Carroll County. And
Just in population.
population. And how do they look? How long have you been with them now in Carroll? How much have you been working with economic development in Carroll?
3 years. Now, mind you, I'm not working with their economic development team. We just share the same attorney. So we're able to glean information.
So you've seen from the outside what's happened in Carroll County according to the kind of decision they made economically. What has that been?
Well, it's pretty impressive, actually. Carroll County, their economic development team formed prior to, I forget the date, but prior to their Stellar grant win. They won the Stellar grant, which was $21 million from the state, and then all of the follow-up grants that came from it. That program, unfortunately, is not in place today, but they won that. And that's what's helped them build this tight-knit team countywide to go after additional grants. They've landed, the pork processing plant. They built a ton of housing. Jake is incredible, very capable person, and he's knee-deep in the Ready Grant process and has been able to sway conversations to help them. So that's part of the thing that comes with economic development. Sometimes there's no tangible line between what you do and what happens, but just by being in the room many times, you're able to sway a conversation or a program in a way that helps your county. And Jake has been very successful with that. This whole regional housing study that we're participating in, that was the result of Jake and others getting into the ready process and requesting it. So we'll do everything we can to identify how these funds are producing results, because that benefits you and us. But I can't today tell you how they will on schedule, because we haven't started.
So if you get all this information requested, get it to us before next month's meeting, and then we'll.
I'll do that.
Okay. Any other questions?
So you. 750,000, that's it, after we've already received, or it's gonna.
Right, this is $250,000. The commissioners want to sign a contract for economic development.
It just so happens to be
Per year, it just happens to be with the same company that did the ad.
Thank you,
A
Ron.
lot of money.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
One just last, in case you didn't receive notice, the county council conference is June 23rd to 24th in Carmel. I did not go last year, but I've gone, I think, every year since before that, and it's always been at Shelbyville at the casino, so your spouse can spend time in the casino. But this year, for some reason, it's in Carmel. But if you're interested in going, let Colleen know so she can send in register and it's from the Renaissance. It's Friday night, usually they have a reception, and then all day Saturday is. I believe it had what all the agenda was. If you did not get it, let me know. I'll forward it. And then later this month is the district meeting in the Green Castle. If anyone's interested in going to that, or
That's
16
award, but what that is now.
next Thursday. It's a Thursday night. Usually it's on Monday night. I was surprised. No. So you need that advertised too?
Well, I like to get as much done as I can.
Okay. Well,
Get tired.
55,000 friendship plan, is that under county general? food?
Under consultant fees, but I'll tell you what, I'll do a special line item that way, then you know exactly.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Colleen pulled up the wheel tax from last year, and here for the entire year, it was $538,025.44.
And that went to auto bound, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's the county and the,
that's for.
and,
yeah.
and I can break it out. each part.
So like, I figured, Jeff mentioned this kind of on the cut, but increasing it 20%. That would give us an additional $107,065, just
Okay.
for an idea of what that would be.
And I don't know. The state required to get. Like $44 or not 44, 54, if we raised it
That's the even
20%,
out.
I think it has to be in the dollars.
Yeah.
So the Bureau of Motor Employees.
No comment.
No, it says flat rate or percentage rate on the county municipal.
Yeah, but I think the percentage maybe is
I was thinking,
10%, yeah.
It makes it
If
easy.
the,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, so, okay, so we'll set that.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll advertise it and then we'll.
Just about it.
Right, okay, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, and I think that's everything. Yeah. So nothing else, our motion to adjourn.
To make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alex?
that's
Yeah.
a-
Okay, thank you very much.
Is it?